Well, naming a running mate is all part of the build-up and excitement of the presidential convention. And on Tuesday, Ted Cruz jumped the gun when he announced Carly Fiorina as his VP pick, while the fight for a nominated GOP candidate rages on. The only other time a runner-up has named his running mate was 1976, when Ronald Reagan picked Pennsylvania Senator Richard Schweiker. But the Reagan-Schweiker ticket came in second that year to Gerald Ford. So joining me now with a look at the running mate race is former Deputy Assistant to President George W. Bush and Georgetown University professor Brad Blakeman. Brad, thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate it. First and foremost, I want to talk about timing. We really captivated the news cycle over a 24-hour period. But does this leave him vulnerable, perhaps, for Donald Trump to make some type of announcement ahead of the convention and have momentum at a time when he really needs it?
Well, I think typically, historically, you pick a running mate not during a primary season to win you a state. You do it in electoral season, in the general election, at the convention to get you a state that's going to help you in the general election. So a premature announcement by Cruz is seen again, I think, as more desperation than a tactical move for the general election.
But we talk about him so much having a really good understanding of how the primary process works. So does it look like it is more of a desperation move? Is there any sort of chess move that we may not be understanding, that this could be a big advantage for him?
Well, we'll have to see, because Carly Fiorina has been on the campaign trail prior to the announcement for 7 weeks, and we haven't seen that kind of advantage from her being publicly out there, and we're not even seeing it now that she's been announced. Now, let me say, if I were advising Donald Trump, I would tell him, save your announcement until the convention. It would create such excitement. There's no need. Trump has no trouble getting press. And the convention needs that type of excitement and boost. And that would certainly help to have that kind of excitement as you're then transitioning from a primary season to an election season.
And I want to play on that. If we could play a soundbite, and I want to get your reaction to it. This is Donald Trump reacting to the announcement. Like I said, it had captivated the news cycle for a period, but then we saw Trump take over. Take a listen.
He has set a record, though. He is the first presidential candidate in the history of this country who's mathematically eliminated from becoming president, who chose a vice presidential candidate. Okay? It's a record.
So then you see him talk about the desperation card there, but I also want to bring up the fact that Donald Trump and other pundits have brought up what happened in 1976. What similarities do you see that happened in 1976 that could possibly happen now?
Yeah. Well, again, we saw Ronald Reagan make his early selection, but he came in second to a sitting president. I also think that the convention is a place where you're going to need that type of boost, especially for Donald Trump. Donald Trump is such an overpowering figure. He's going to have to pick somebody who balances him, both politically and temperamentally. And I think that by announcing early for Donald Trump, he gains nothing. Because, again, he has no problem in the news cycle generating publicity. He was able to knock Cruz off the news cycle just by his appearances in California when Carly Fiorina was still brand new to the announcement. So I think there isn't very little similarity, and very little historical value is there in having somebody come on early.
I do want to ask you one last question. I wish we had more time to talk about the Democratic side of the race. Do you suspect that we'll hear anything before the convention? Because we talk about Bernie reaching a more progressive class, if you will, a progressive group of voters. Who will she pick for her nominee, do you suppose, and will we see that before the convention? I
think on the Democratic side, again, just like the Republicans, you have to pick somebody who complements the ticket. For Hillary, I think she needs somebody younger. I think a male minority candidate would be the perfect balance to a Hillary ticket. And for Republicans, we need a balance to Donald Trump. Perhaps a woman, perhaps a former adversary, maybe a John Kasich. Politics makes strange bedfellows. But the idea of picking a running mate is to be complementary. Nobody votes for VP, but it certainly can help the ticket.
And we certainly need, both parties say they want unity, so we'll see if they get it.
We'll see.
Brad Blakeman, thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate it.
Thank you.